Ooh, guys, I have enjoyed myself this day. Y'all have, boy, I tell you what, some of you guys out here, my brother said, brother, we are still in the ocean. We need your help. I'm not going to be able to come. Them little bitty boats y'all had out there, I could never understand how y'all going to go out there with a fisherman boat with those big old aircraft carriers. I'm not going to be able to help you. Oh, boy. You need a payday real bad to be out there messing with them big old ships out in the ocean in a little bitty tugboat. But anyway, I ain't going to be able to help you. Y'all like, follow, and share.
So you had this situation online where it's African Americans versus black immigrants. You have this, popular online movement, FBA, and I've done multiple videos about them. And that movement foments hatred, it foments division among black people. And so the recent example that we have is this situation involving statements that President Trump made against the Somalian people in America. He basically said that they are garbage and he doesn't want them in America. He wants them to leave America. He went on to say that their country stinks. He went on and on to make these disparaging remarks, and he basically said the Representative Omar is garbage as well. And so there have been some videos that African Americans have done where they have pointed out like statements that Somalians have made when it comes to being black, for instance. There are multiple videos on social media where Somalians say that they're not black. They try to distinguish themselves from other African people by saying that they're not black. And then also I saw a video of this imam basically complaining about African Americans and making disparaging remarks about African Americans. This is an imam. You're supposed to believe in the brotherhood of humanity and stuff in Islam. But instead of promoting brotherhood, this man promoted prejudice and bigotry against African Americans by referring to, basically saying that African Americans don't know who their fathers are, that most of African Americans are products of one-night stands. Total nonsense, total garbage, total propaganda. And then you also had a video clip of these Somalians rallying behind Trump before these controversial remarks were made. They attended this pro-Trump rally where they're talking about they support Donald Trump. And then you had this other guy that did a recent interview on CNN responding to these statements that Donald Trump made. A Trump supporter, the Somalian Trump supporter. And so some people are using those video clips to basically say, well, we don't care what happens to Somalian immigrants. We don't give a damn about them since they don't care about us. And I think that this is what people like Donald Trump want to see. They want to see people of color fighting each other instead of fighting Donald Trump. They love to see that. They love to see black people at each other's throats. When the fact of the matter is, this white man doesn't make these same distinctions that we make. He doesn't see any difference between Somalians and African Americans. When the police stop you and harass you and brutalize you, they don't ask you what nation you come from, what your nationality is. They don't give a damn about that. They didn't give a damn about Amadou Diallo or Abner Lawima being immigrants. They don't care nothing about that. There are multiple examples of black immigrants that are treated just like African Americans. So we need to stop this infighting. And it's a product of ignorance that's being promoted on both sides. Ignorance that's being promoted among immigrants to look down upon African Americans, and ignorance among African Americans to despise other black people. Ignorance perpetuated by groups like FBA, which is probably a MAGA Trump front organization. You know, it's pro MAGA. They defend MAGA while they have all these horrible things to say about Obama and Kamala Harris. And they're being exposed for the right-wing movement they are. They are imitation white supremacists. And it's just sad to see people on both sides playing into this bitter conflict. Now, it's one thing to expose the fact that some of these immigrants have effed around and they found out. You know, some of them supported Donald Trump, and now they're finding out how foolish that was to do. And it's right for people to point that out. But it's one thing to point that out, and it's quite another thing to tell people that you don't care if they get deported, you don't care what happens to them. Because the fact of the matter is the same ICE agents that harassed the immigrant community are the same ICE agents that came to Chicago and harassed black people, black American people. These ICE agents are racially profiling people, and black people are caught up in that racial profiling that's going on. Just as Donald Trump, hates these Somalian people, he also said that there are other countries that fit that same description. And we know about the statements that he made about African countries, calling them shithole countries, called Haiti shithole country. But yet and still we're fighting with each other. And if he looks upon our motherland of Africa as being a shithole, what do you think that he thinks about you as a black man? So I just think that it's time for us to end the ignorance and end the infighting and unite against a common enemy. And the fact of the matter is, those video clips that we've seen of Somalians saying this and that, those don't necessarily reflect the views of most Somalian immigrants. Just because we saw some people on stage with Donald Trump, that doesn't mean that most of the Somalian people rallied behind Donald Trump or supported Donald Trump. As we know, Representative Omar is a Democrat elected from a majority Somali population. So, yeah, I just had to say this, man. We should not allow ourselves to play into division against one another. The immigrants and African Americans and other marginalized people need to unite against a common enemy. And that common enemy is Donald Trump, MAGA, and white supremacy.
Hello, good people. I hope that you are doing fine from any part of the world that you are watching today's video from. So lately, the Latinos and the Somalis are angry and furious at the black Americans because they feel they have been standing up with them, speaking out and fighting injustice. And when it's their turn, they feel abandoned. And these people are asking the hard question. We are loud for others, but why, when it is our turn, why the silence? The anger is not coming from anywhere. It is coming from the frustrations, the pain, and years of feeling ignored. Some are speaking calmly and others are speaking emotionally. But one thing is clear. They are done staying quiet about the silence they are seeing. And therefore, today we are going to talk about why this anger is happening, what it really means, and why this conversation matters. Welcome back to Polito Realities, a channel that talks about real issues, real reactions, and real conversations happening around the world. If you love listening to deep conversations, then this channel is for you. For my new viewers, take a minute to subscribe, to like, and to share today's video. And at the end of this, we are going to have a real in-depth conversation of why the Latinos and the Somalis are now angry and very furious at the black Americans. Stay tuned.
Hey everybody, how everyone doing this morning, this afternoon? Yeah, I just wanted to come on here real quick. I don't have 2 cents. I just got 1 cent right now. But I just want to come on here and just say something to the Somalis that are living in the United States. As a matter of fact, anybody that was not born here, family hasn't been here for hundreds of years via whatever, you know, don't disrespect the people of a country. I can't move to Japan. The Japanese people has made it possible for me to come to Japan and, let's say, have a better life. They did that. Then I'm going to sit back and criticize the Japanese to think that I'm better than them? That's what this is, guys. You can't come here on what we built. African Americans, descendants of slaves in this country. They built this country. If it was not for the slave trade, there would be no United States of America. The slavery was evil. Inhumane. But our people suffered through that, working for nothing, working for free, to build a pathway, so that one day their descendants, like I am a descendant of slaves, will have a better life than them. They knew they weren't going to have a better life. It was just building a path. So you don't come and disrespect that. You don't come here, you check the block, because, you black, but then you go out and you criticize us, think you better than us, think you whatever than us. From what I see, you guys, a lot of y'all are just saying that, but con artists. And I'm not putting that with every African, because it's not, because let me tell you something. I had a friend from Uganda. She was so sweet. She was so sweet. She was kind. She was so sweet. It's not everybody, and I know it's not even every Somali, right? Just like it's not it's not everyone in any group that are doing stupid crap. But you people, you're on your own. Okay, this is not about black Americans. Even if ICE stop me, I got my passport. I'm an American citizen. Birth certificate. Guess what? They might hold me for. They're gonna have to release my black ass because I'm an American citizen. Right? We black. Listen up. Latinos, Africans, Europeans, anybody that came from another country, Americans, we cannot be deported. We can't. There's nowhere for us to go. We know that y'all would love to see black people get deported, but we can't get deported because we are Americans. Just remember that. So, if you want us to stand with you, then you need to stand with us. And not only do you need to stand with us, you need to respect us. Because it's one thing that we're not going for is disrespect. Okay? We will light you up for disrespect. We got to put up with disrespect from the white people. We got to put up with a little disrespect from the Latinos. And all this and all that. And now we got to put up with y'all disrespect us? Come on. We ain't going nowhere. Okay? We ain't going nowhere. But Trump is going to round y'all up. So, I don't know what to tell you, buddy. I don't know whether you wait for them to come and get you, or get on a plane or a boat or whatever, and try to go back to Somalia. Do whatever you got to do. But just know, Trump is coming for y'all. And you know what this black woman going to be doing? Sitting here watching it, saying, I'm going to say, That's all I'm gonna say. I'm gonna say same thing I say for the Latinos. I said, that's what I do. And continue on my day. All right, y'all have a good day.
There's an old saying that pride cometh before the fall. But in the age of social media, pride doesn't just come before the fall. It broadcasts the coordinates of that fall to federal law enforcement. Stick me to the very end of this video because we're going to take a look at the viral video that's caused an uproar among American taxpayers, and we're going to see exactly what the Trump administration is doing in response. Hey gang, it's me, Dr. Steve, your patron professor, here to help make sense of the madness as the far left desperately tries to stop the unstoppable rise of a new conservative age that you are making happen all over the world. So if you want a front row seat on how you're changing the world in ways you never even imagined, make sure to smack that bell and subscribe button. Now, some of you may have seen this video, a Somali man mocking and ridiculing the very American taxpayers whose generosity serves as the entire reason for him being here in the first place.
You work all day, you don't got shit. Thank you for working so hard so I can be home all day. Free. I can use my EBT. Go to work for me, white boy, white girl. Yeah. Go to work for me, you white animals. Work for me. Yeah, you work for me. And the U.S. government they work for me. All of you work for me. Now go to work. Pay them taxes. Take care of me and my people. All right? This is my land. I control this place. This is my reality. You all gonna be enchained. I'm gonna lock all you guys up if you don't pay your taxes. You better pay your taxes.
Now, needless to say that video has gone viral for all the wrong reasons. Far from appreciation and gratitude, we're treated there to a specific type of callous bravado. Again, this isn't the kind of quiet respect and indebtedness that you would expect from a refugee who escaped a war zone and is thankful for safety for himself, for his family. No, far from it. It's literally a spit in the face of every single American taxpayer that gets up every morning and works hard and plays by the rules. It's the arrogance of someone who views the host nation not as a savior, but as a resource to be extracted, literally pillaged. He mocks the American work ethic. He mocks the very mechanism, taxation, that puts food on his table. And it is the quintessential demeanor of what's referred to today as post-Americanism. And that's where American citizens are treated with such disdain and derision, precisely because we're perceived as belonging to a systematically unjust and racist society. One of the reasons why we're considered so unjust and racist is because we as a nation supposedly rose to prominence by exploiting and abusing indigenous populations. And so justice requires that America be repopulated with the very populations we supposedly exploited and pillaged. And so from this vantage point, this post-American vantage point, opening up our borders, right, particularly the southern border for the last 4 years under bumbling Biden, that was actually an act of justice because it allowed our nation to be pillaged by the very people who we supposedly originally pillaged. And that invitation to pillaging is open to all third world nations, including Somalia. And what you just saw there in that video is the quintessential sentiment of this very post-Americanism that has completely infested and infected the Democrat Party. More on that in a moment. But the problem for this guy is that the very tax-paying American citizen that he's mocking there has had enough. The only thing more powerful than the compassion and generosity of the American taxpayer is the open and public betrayal of that compassion and generosity. And that's exactly what we're seeing today.
Shields up and guns drawn, Ring surveillance video shows more than a dozen armed federal agents descending on a Burnsville home on Saturday. A woman who lives there tells Fox 9 multiple Latino people who rent rooms there were arrested by ICE after being followed home from the store. A portion of the video shows one man being taken down in the driveway and another woman running inside to her child. We're told the 4 people taken into custody are now being held in immigration facilities out of state. That includes the parents of a 7-year-old boy.
That's Minneapolis media lamenting on the mass ICE raids that are swarming throughout their liberal city. ICE officials are turning the sanctuary city policies of this woke city in on themselves. They're turning it against them. What the legacy media is actively trying to hide from you is that one of the reasons why ICE has to go into neighborhoods like that and go into homes is precisely because sanctuary cities like Minneapolis refuse to allow their law enforcement to detain illegal migrants upon request from ICE. And with those detainers ignored, the illegals are set free into the community. And so ICE has to find them. The problem for these woke liberals is that when ICE does find them, they're arresting every illegal they find in their proximity. When they go into a home and arrest a criminal, a violent, somebody who's arrested that they have records of, illegal migrant, they're going to arrest every illegal migrant in that home. So the Minneapolis media can whine and complain all they want. They're the ones allowing this to happen. If those illegals on camera were kept detained by officials as requested by ICE, ironically, far less people would be getting deported right now. So they only have themselves to blame. But that's only because the legacy media, when all is said and done, they don't report news. They report narratives. What's sold as neutral reporting is too often activism in disguise, crafted to guide perception rather than reveal truth. And so as a result, millions are waking up to the realization that the news is broken. But it doesn't have to stay that way. And luckily, there is a solution. Ground News brings together headlines from over 50,000 news sources and makes it easy to understand what's happening. But what really makes it powerful is its transparency. You don't just see the stories, you see the political bias behind every source, the ownership ties, the coverage breakdown across the spectrum. That's why over 1 million people have downloaded Ground News. Check it out for yourself at ground.news/Steve. You know, my favorite feature is the blind spot feed because it shows you which stories are blowing up on one side of the aisle but barely mentioned on the other. I mean, it's the clearest way to see media bias in action. So, for example, here's a story the left is completely ignoring. It's about border czar Tom Homan confirming that DHS is actively investigating whether Representative Ilhan Omar committed immigration fraud by allegedly marrying her brother. So the left doesn't want to have to actually try to explain the inexplicable gaps and inconsistencies in Omar's documentation and public records. Now, of course, right-wing media ignores its share of stories too, but now you'll know. With every story, Ground News shows you the entire spectrum of who's reporting from left, right, and center, how reliable each source is, and who owns each outlet. It's literally everything the corporate media doesn't want you to see. And right now you can get 40% off the Vantage plan, which gives you unlimited access to all the features that I personally use for just $5 a month. Just visit ground.news/Steve, click the link in the description, or scan the QR code. That's ground.news/Steve. This is a lesson for every guest in our nation. Hospitality is not unconditional. When you see ICE operations ramping up, understand that this isn't random cruelty. It is the restoration of order. A country that tolerates open mockery of its own citizens is a country in terminal decline. A country that enforces its boundaries and demands respect is a country on the rise. And that's exactly what the latest polls are showing. According to the latest YouGov poll, just 18% of American citizens want immigration increased. 18%. A plurality want immigration stopped completely, or at least dramatically reduce. And perhaps most stunningly, given the legacy media's penchant for pushing narrative over news, most stunningly, Latinos are more hostile to immigration than the general U.S. population. 40% of Latinos want immigration decreased, while 30%, a plurality of the general population, wants immigration decreased. It's one of the reasons that Democrats are in a polling freefall. Did you see this? The latest Quinnipiac poll has Democrats down to an abysmal 18% approval. 18%. Interestingly, that's the same number as those who want to actually increase immigration. 18%. It don't get a whole lot lower than that. What we're actually witnessing here with these mass deportation operations isn't new. It's part of a historical pattern that political scientists call demographic correction cycles. Demographic correction cycles. So when nations face rapid demographic changes that threaten social cohesion, along with economic instability, they often respond with large-scale removal operations to restore a sense of cultural and economic normalcy. I mean, we saw this with the Chinese Exclusion Act of 1882. We saw it with the Operation Wetback in 1954. America, as have all nations, periodically engages in mass deportation efforts during times of economic stress and perceived cultural threat. And that's the pattern. These cycles typically occur they'll have a threefold frames of reference that sort of come together. First and foremost, you get economic anxiety peaking as when American workers rightly fear job competition and the driving down of their wages through a massive influx of migration, as well as a sense of exploitation by migrants living off the dole. Secondly, you have cultural identity threatened, and that's where sudden and rapid demographic changes end up creating a mass backlash. We actually saw that back in 2016 when Trump crushed Hillary. Counties, particularly in Appalachia and the Midwest, places like Wisconsin, Michigan, Pennsylvania, counties that had experienced the most cultural disruption due to migration, those counties were most likely to vote for Trump. It was literally the exact opposite of what the liberal globalist elite thought would happen. They thought if you inundated these counties and regions with mass migration, that would turn those regions blue. But ironically, the exact opposite happened. Wherever migration populations flooded a region, that region ironically turned more to the right as they saw their culture, customs, and traditions, particularly their language, threatened. So mass deportations occur whenever economic anxiety peaks, whenever cultural identity feels threatened, and then thirdly, when the political opportunity emerges. So you actually have to have leaders capitalizing on public frustration, willing to act. There's a fourth one. You have to have an infrastructure capacity has to exist. So the government has to have the tools to act and act effectively. And what we're seeing, particularly with these mass raids, is all four of those conditions aligning perfectly in the era of the Trump administration. That TikToker wanted to be famous. He wanted to show the world how easy he had it. Well, he succeeded. He showed 300 million Americans exactly why our immigration enforcement needs to be ruthless and efficient. He thought he was flexing his EBT card. In reality, he was handing the Trump administration the most powerful campaign ad they could have ever dreamed of. The party is over. The bill has arrived. And for the first time in a long time, the American taxpayer isn't the one paying it. If today's message resonated with you, you'll love Turley Walks, my free preview of the Courageous Patriot Club. More stories, more perspective, more community focused on faith, family, and freedom. And it's absolutely free. Go to turley.pub/turleywalk.
Hello again and welcome back to today's discussions. And right now there is a lot of tension online. The Latinos and the Somalis are openly expressing anger and disappointment. They feel that when serious issues need to be addressed, the black voices are silent. They are not whispering anymore, they are saying it loudly. They are saying it on TikTok, on X, in comments, and also in videos. And when the Latinos and Somalis talk about black silence, they don't mean that every black person is responsible. They are questioning the leaders, the influencers, and the loud voices who normally speak on injustice. They are asking, why speak on some issues and ignore some issues? And why show support sometimes, but at times you don't show that support? To them, the silence feels like rejection. And many Latinos say they have shown support in protest. They have shown online campaigns support. They are also given online campaign support and movements as well. They feel that support is not being returned. Some say, we stand with you, but when we need support, you are vanishing. And that feeling now is turning into anger. Remember that on the other hand, the Somalis are known of speaking out boldly and directly. Many Somalis feel that they are constantly fighting for themselves and they stand alone for themselves. They believe that silence allows room for misinformation, discrimination, and attacks to grow. For them, the silence is not neutral. It is a dangerous thing. And now, the social media is playing a vital role and making this issue become bigger because of what is going on and the viral videos that we are seeing. And emotions spread very fast online. Anger becomes louder on social media. And suddenly, when everyone is watching, everything is fueled up. Not everyone agrees. Some black voices are saying, we are tired too, just like you. We can't fight every battle with you. And silence doesn't mean that we have left you alone, but we are also tired. And others also admit, maybe we need to listen. And maybe we miss something. And this normally shows that those issues are simple. But on the Somalis and the Latinos, they see that those issues are bigger. And now, the anger is justified, but it depends on the perspectives of people. Anger, remember, often it comes with pain, and it also creates division among people. The real question is, can this anger turn into an honest conversation instead of conflicts? Silence can protect peace, but it can also protect problems. When people feel ignored, they explode. And that is what we are seeing from the Latinos and the Somalis. And now, what is needed is not shouting. It is listening, not attacking, but understanding the real issues. Communities don't need to agree on everything, but they need to talk. And Latinos and Somalis are furious because they feel that they are unheard. Black silence, whether it is intentional or not, it's being questioned. This moment now, it's very uncomfortable, but it's also necessary. Because real unity is tested in moments like this. Real unity comes in when you are standing for another community that is having a lot of problems. And now, Let's talk about it. Let's listen. And let's stop pretending silence has no impact. If this conversation touched you in a way or the other, then leave your thoughts in the comment section. Until next time, be blessed and be informed.